Welcome to a Sober Shepherds podcast. My name is David Weitz. If you live in the Northeast, winter has been brutal this year. Storm after storm, weeks of being cooped up. But what really got me wasn't the snow. It's what that kind of isolation does to heads like mine. When my routine breaks down and my world starts shrinking, I don't just slow down. I start disappearing from the things I care about. Not because I stop caring, but because I start telling myself, I'll get back to it tomorrow. That's how momentum quietly bleeds out. And somewhere between the second and third storm, maybe it was the fourth or fifth storm, I found myself going through the motions of recovery while losing my footing internally. I was still saying the words, still showing up in the places that once grounded me. But the sense of being supported by something larger than my own thinking started thinning out. And as that connection weakened, my internal world got louder, less stable. The less steadied I felt, the harder it became to trust that steadiness was even possible. That's a dangerous loop for me. When hope erodes first, and my thinking follows into much darker territory. The reason I scripted this and published it was because at some point I had to choose the next right move instead of waiting to feel like myself again. And then there was this stretch where my thinking started convincing me my voice didn't count in this condition. Like I had to earn the right to speak by feeling stronger first. That's how ambition erodes. The routine didn't vanish, but winter laid siege to it. Ice on the roads, longer distances to meetings, and the stretches of cold stacked back to back like we haven't seen around here since 1989. The structure held, but the belief that I mattered and that what I'm building here matters, that's what started to crack underneath the weight of uncertainty. Stillness isn't rest for someone like me. It's where my head starts pacing. It's where too much quiet turns into too much thinking. And thinking turns into inventory on everything I think is wrong with me. And the holidays didn't help either. Forced cheer, calendar pressure, the subtle expectation to look okay on command. My thinking uses that backdrop to turn on me. Not in explosions, in paperwork. It pulls out old evidence. It highlights flaws. It tells me I'm behind schedule and becoming who I'm supposed to be by now. That voice isn't who I am. That's the part of my head that learned how to sound like me. It knows my language. It knows my weak spots. And when it talks in my voice, it's harder to argue with. This disease does its best work when I shrink, when I stop taking up room in my own life. When I'm connected and moving, it can't touch me the same way. So it tries to get me to start tearing myself apart from the inside. And if I'm already doing the damage, it doesn't have to work very hard. And here's the part that's hard to swallow for any addict. The prison I built in my own head didn't come from a relapse. I showed up the best I could, even when getting to meetings felt heavier than it should have. I never stopped reaching for the things that have kept me alive. And yet it still knocked the wind out of me. That doesn't make me a loser for struggling, even when my head tries to call it that. Struggling is a part of staying alive in this. Recovery doesn't cancel the pain of living life on life's terms. It just changes what I do when the pain hits. So here I am, still sober. The warmer air alone just felt like my nervous system got a little room to breathe. And then suddenly I want to rebuild my life by Friday. Fix everything. Make up for lost time. Become the version of myself I keep measuring against. Overnight. No middle lane. No pacing. Just burnout dressed up as discipline. Spiritual urgency with no oxygen mask. That sprint to outrun where I'm actually standing, that is the war. And trying to play 10 moves ahead with only one move available today will definitely send me into a spiral. That's the danger zone. And I'm not the only one who does this. This is the wiring. This is what happens when we negotiate with the future instead of just standing in the present. The war shows up when conditions turn hostile, when the money tightens, when isolation creeps in, when your mind starts cutting movie trailers about how your whole life is about to collapse, when the same old lies put on your voice and start issuing instructions. There wasn't a cinematic breakthrough that pulled me out of this trench. No lightning bolt. Just the basics. You know, the boring stuff. The humiliating simple things that feel beneath you once you've been sober long enough to forget what actually saved your life. And getting back on my feet hasn't been poetic. It's been manual labor. Forcing my body through doors my mind didn't want to open. Sitting in rooms I used to walk into with ease and now have to muscle my way into. Speaking honestly to people I love instead of editing myself to look fine. That is the war. Me versus me. You versus you. Same blueprint, different addresses. And people who don't carry the same wiring, they mean well. But what actually helps is the proximity to people who recognize this terrain. Rooms where you don't have to translate yourself. Sober Shepherds matters to me. This space matters to me. Some days, this is how I keep my soul from ghosting my own life. And if you're here listening, you're already standing in that space with me. We don't heal by keeping this inside. We heal by raising our hand and telling the truth. Silence doesn't make us strong. It keeps us sick. So this is what we do instead. We take one step at a time, the next right step, even when it scares us, even when we hate it. That's how we get well. That's how we stay alive. Action beats mood. And today, we move. So if you've been stuck in the house and stuck in your head, you're not alone. I'm right here with you. And today, all we have to do is just take the next right step.